On Wednesday evening, British MPs are expected to vote on a bill to trigger Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty and begin the two-year divorce from the EU. And the vote will come after a two-day debate initiated by Brexit Secretary David Davis, who said that the main question is whether MPs should trust the people. RT's Ahli Parlimen has been following exchanges in Westminster.
We asked the people of the UK if they wanted to leave the European Union. They decided they did. So at the core of this bill lies a very simple question. Do we trust the people or not?
12-hour debate at the House of Commons as MPs are preparing to vote on this EU withdrawal bill that was put forward to them by the government following a Supreme Court decision that Theresa May cannot trigger Article 50 without Parliament's approval. And despite all indicators pointing to the fact that they will, in fact, vote for the bill because they have promised to respect the vote of the people following the referendum on June 23rd, it does seem that there are indeed more questions still than answers in terms of what exactly they'll be voting on, considering it's not really clear exactly what kind of shape Brexit is going to be taking. MPs have had lots of questions about demands, really, for more clarity from the government in terms of the details of the following, the deal that would come between the UK and the EU. They want more specifics in terms of what they can expect. And some of the comparisons we've been hearing here in London throughout the day really seem quite familiar to what we've been hearing even before the referendum took place.
We may need more time. We certainly don't want any jump off the cliff.
We're in the position of somebody who's just thrown themselves off a 100-storey building.
Our interlocutors on the other side are also listening and watching very carefully to this debate, and sending mixed messages would be against the national interest of this country if we want to get a good deal for both the 52% and the 48%.
Just because they didn't vote the way the establishment wanted to them doesn't mean that they didn't know what they're voting for. And, you know, the internal market, you cannot stay in the internal market, otherwise you're a member of the European Union. And people knew that, and it is very clear. But I do think today, you know, the mood was slightly better than I'd thought it would be, and I think there is a recognition as that we are leaving.
Clearly, there's still lots of issues that are yet to be addressed, yet we do know that Theresa May is, of course, still set on meeting the deadline of March this year to trigger Article 50. But at this point, it really seems that it could be anyone's guess in terms of what kind of shape and form this Brexit divorce is going to end up taking, and that's exactly what's worrying MPs here in London.
Meanwhile, a second vote on Scottish independence from the UK is coming closer to reality. That's according to Scotland's former First Minister Alex Salmond. He was speaking to RT's Going Underground.
I think it makes Scottish independence highly likely within the very few years indeed. Scotland can vote overwhelmingly to stay within Europe. England votes marginally to come out of Europe. So the decision is Scotland has to pull out as well. And if that can happen in Europe, it can happen on any issue whatsoever, and that's exactly why Scotland needs to control its own destiny to make its own way in Europe and the world. There's a totally different atmosphere in the rest of Europe who see Scotland as a European-orientated country who wants to play a constructive part in affairs than there was back then when the UK were able to push people against Scotland by exerting their influence. The UK influence is fast running out, indeed is virtually non-existent in the councils of Europe.
And that full interview right now with Salmond is coming up this moment in Going Underground. Unless you're joining us from the UK or Ireland, the story of African kids evicted for being sorcerers. That's next on this network.